this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
What could have possibly happened to turn you into such a sourpuss?
You really want to know? I'll tell you. It was my brother, and it involves a Toon.
A Toon? No! What happened? Did the Toon get the drop on you? Slay the piano on Peter for 15 stories?
No, all I remember was the Toon laughing with those burning red eyes and that high squeaky voice. He made me watch it over and over.
Please, what was it?
It was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's next on the Pod of Dreams.
Roger, what's this? A tweeting bird? Tweeting bird? Roger, read the script. Look what it says. It says rabbit gets clunked, rabbit sees stars. Not birds, stars!
This is the tale of an up-and-coming movie star named Roger Rabbit and a down-and-out private detective named Eddie Valiant.
Ooga booga!
Every moment they were together was a new adventure in trouble.
Hide me, Eddie! Please!
It's a motion picture about friendship.
Get easy! Please, Eddie! Don't tell me out, you're making a big mistake!
Love. Compassion.
Well, I'm sorry I yanked your ears.
All the time you yanked my ears?
Murder.
Marvin Ackman. The rabbit cacked him last night.
Remember, you never saw me.
Sex.
I'd do anything for my husband, Mr. Valiant. Anything.
And violence.
Toons gets him every time.
You wouldn't have any idea where the rabbit might be?
Got a thing for rabbits, huh?
The whole thing stinks like yesterday's diapers.
It's a comedy a little different from all the rest.
I'm a pig! I'm a Toon.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or you're just happy to see me?
Touchstone Pictures and Steven Spielberg present a Robert Zemeckis film.
We Toons may act idiotic, but we're not stupid.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
All right, everybody, welcome to the Pod of Dreams. If you built it, we will pod. I'm Ben with my co-host Eric. Eric, how are you doing?
I am great. I am doing wonderful. I'm glad I'm not a cartoon. We're living in a cartoon world.
Yeah, there's a ton of questions about the cartoons, really, like the metaphysics. Are they born? Where they come from? Are they immortal? Will they be around forever?
Well, we know they can die with the...
They can die, but like, let's say nobody gives them dip, right? Nobody puts them in dip. Would they live forever? Do they have different lives? How does it work? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit today. I'll do a little bit of a lead in here because I picked it. It's a movie I watched a ton as a kid. And other ones I just kind of really forgot about. This one I liked a lot as a kid, but just haven't seen it recently. Saw it pop up on Disney Plus. Also had seen with my family the new Chippendales movie. And Eric, your daughters are kind of getting aged out of some of this stuff. Have you seen the new Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie?
Didn't see that, but I watched this with my daughter. So one of them. Okay. The other one refused. But
okay, fair enough. I mean, Chippendale is spiritually very similar. I mean, you get cartoons walking around their actors in Hollywood. It has a lot more to say about various animation styles. This Roger Rabbit's pretty much all classic cartoons.
Hand drawn, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one was different. But I was like, man, I really used to like this movie. I wonder if it holds up. Roger Rabbit has a brief cameo in the Chippendales movie. I was like, hey, let's watch it. And I want to see. I'm kind of fascinated about how it holds up with how I remember it versus now. And I gotta say, I'm realizing how little I understood the plot. I mean, there's lots to talk about. I knew almost nothing about the plot. I'm like, I did not catch any of the stuff for the plot. And of course, there's a boatload of very adult jokes. I don't remember how alcoholism being such a big part of the movie, huge part of the movie. It's one of the central themes. So I was just kind of like flabbergasted before we even talk about what we liked, didn't like. Was this very different for you from how you remembered it? You also watched a bunch of Skid Row. Did you have a lot of those? Oh, I totally missed a bunch of this stuff. Do you have a lot of those moments?
Well, I remember every scene, like every line of dialogue. I could have recited it. Did I understand a lot, especially like the sexual innuendo stuff? Probably not.
So, like probate, prostate joke.
No.
I never understood that.
Well, there's so much stuff about a will in this movie too, which I had no sense of what. I mean, I knew it was like they'd get the money or whatever, they'd get the land.
All I knew is bad guy wanted to destroy Toon Town. That was the extent of what I understood as a kid. But I definitely missed I've got a 50-year-old lust and a 3-year-old dinghy.
Yeah,
that's
all the baby stuff. Like, because this movie opens where it's like a cartoon with the baby and Roger Rabbit. He's like the babysitter.
Yeah, it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Functionally,
and it's like a 5-minute cartoon, and then it's like cut, and then you realize, oh, they're actors, they're cartoon actors, and they're filming this show.
Yeah, they come off the set, and
he's
then we see
smoking
them
a
as
stogie.
actors.
Yeah, and the scene where he slaps the one woman's butt and he drops his cigar and starts crying. Like, I remember all of that, but I didn't understand, like, why does this baby have a cigar, and like, why is he saying inappropriate things? Like, I didn't make that connection as a kid. But yeah, I mean, I was like finishing lines with my daughter. She thought this was the weirdest thing she had ever seen in her whole life.
It is a weird movie. I get it.
Very odd.
The 80s is a very different time, because I thought this was
more
normal,
confused about the plot. Like, she wanted to follow. Like, why is this judge? Who is this judge guy? What's he trying to do? Like, wait, what? Now this guy's dead, and who killed him? Like, she was trying to follow. I don't remember like trying to track all of that stuff. It was just like, oh, there's Roger, he's funny.
I just liked all the crazy cartoon zaniness. Like, that was the fun part.
I remember I loved so much that like the humans could grab like a cartoon sword, or the hammer that had the fists that would come out. Like, all of those things, I remember just the gun that he had with the cartoon bullets.
Oh yeah, the hole, the little, like, you could throw a hole.
Yes.
And put your hand through it and it would create space.
He had
when you went into the cartoon world, you had
magnet.
cartoon. Yeah, and you had cartoon rules when you went into Toon Town. Like, you were like a cartoon, you could fall from several stories and be fine. And like, oh, that's crazy.
We actually used to play this like cartoon role-playing game. It was kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but you were like cartoons. Yeah,
sounds really nerdy.
It was super nerdy. We were way into this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, like, my brother like was so into this movie, and we watched it once a week, maybe. I don't know. We watched it all the time.
How did it compare to watching The Last Dragon? Which one was watched more by you and your brother?
Yeah, that's like 1A and 1B. It's hard to say.
Okay.
This
and
probably
eventually Predator. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Just curious. All right. Yeah. No. All that stuff, all the goofy cartoon stuff was the big selling point, and I found. So I'm realizing it's fascinating to me how much people can change in life, because as a kid, I loved Roger Rabbit. I identified with him. I liked how crazy he was. I like how much he annoyed everybody, I guess. And now it's switched. I totally identify with the Bob Hoskins character. I'm like, oh, I get that guy. Roger Rabbit's really annoying. He's really, really aggravating. And now I'm on the side of the old cracky guy.
Although Roger does bring a lot of life to the movie. I think when he's not on camera, the best parts of the movie were when they're together, I think.
Well, that's
and kind of playing off
the movie.
Each other.
You have the straight man and the zany other guy. Sure, I mean, that's the movie.
But it gets a little dark when Hoskins is by himself drinking himself to sleep because his brother was killed. Like, it gets a little dark and heavy in a lot of those scenes.
He passes out on the desk. There's so much about the way we get backstory for his character that I totally miss. Like, oh, his dad was a clown and they went to like clown school, and then they became cops who exclusively like helped toons. Because him and his brother were goofballs and had this like clown history, and so they like got goofy off of espionage charges. And I mean, all like you see all the like newspaper headlines, fans around like, this is such a great shot. I did not appreciate it at all at the time, but this is like really good.
Well, and you get the payoff later on when Eddie Valiant does the like routine, the comedy routine.
At the end, right. It's good writing, and then he learns to laugh again and gets a sense of humor back. And Bob Hoskins is incredible in this movie. It's just it's tough to me to think of anybody to be any better.
Is he incredible?
I think so. Oh, for sure. You don't think he is?
He's my least favorite part of the movie. He's the part that I never liked as a kid, and for whatever reason, watching it now, I don't. I think he sells the part well, but there's just something about he's like a hairy kind of dude. There's something about him that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know.
Well, that sounds like a personal thing because he looks the part perfectly. I think he plays the straight man and is kind of taking it seriously. And he somehow, in the middle of this nonsense, takes it seriously. My least favorite part is Roger Rabbit. I find him just so aggravating. I'm like, he's just loud and annoying.
Well, he screws everything up. Yeah.
And I can't understand half of what he says, and he just drives me nuts, and I kind of just want him to go away. It just adds this like chaotic energy, which is the point of the movie. I mean, it's like with dried crust concrete, the protagonists are supposed to be miserable. I mean, he's supposed to be annoying and in your face. That's the whole point. It's literally a cartoon. But
I want to give credit to our buddy Brian Eggert. He wrote this. It's an amazing like essay on this movie on his website, Deep Focus Review, but really kind of breaks down the movie in such a like better way than we will ever do. But he wrote that I guess Bob Hoskins was like one of the bottom choices. It was originally offered to Harrison Ford, Eddie Murphy, and Bill Murray, and they all turned it down. Like, it's a better movie if Harrison Ford is Eddie Valiant, I think.
I don't think so. But I mean, maybe. I doubt it, but I don't. I mean,
this is the only way I know Bob Hoskins. Has he been in any other movie that I would know? I know he recently passed away, right?
I think a few years ago he was in Super Mario Brothers. The live
sure, yeah, another just terrible movie.
He's in actual good stuff that you probably haven't seen too, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But yes, I mean, I think he's in other stuff. But yeah,
he does the noir detective private eye stuff really well, and that is probably my like as an adult my favorite part of the movie is this whole like investigation and conspiracy. I mean, it involves cartoons, so I think, and this is Brian wrote in his essay, like I think the brilliance of this movie, if you really love it, is that it melds this like cartoon world and these sort of cartoon characters with this adult story really well. And like it could go too heavy on one aspect of it, could be too cartoony, it could be too adult where you can't enjoy it. Like as kids, like this movie came out when we were younger, and I was a kid when I saw it. Like the kids loved this movie. Like it was a huge hit movie. It's like the second highest grossing movie of that year.
Sure.
But like it's good for kids and it's good for adults. I think that's kind of that like sort of Simpsons, sort of frame where kids and adults can like it for different reasons,
well, that's what I'm saying. I think I fit both sides of that. I liked it as a kid for very different reasons than the parts I like about it as an adult. It's vastly different why I like it. I mean, like, and that's kind of Zemeckis, and this is ludicrous.
Zemeckis and Spielberg, I think that's where they've sort of their bread and butter is this, like, you can like it as a kid or a kid at heart, and you can like it for the adult reasons and adult themes. And this is one of those perfect examples of it.
Oh yeah, I love the noir. I mean, yeah, I didn't appreciate that this is like Chinatown. I didn't get that. I'd never obviously heard of Chinatown when I was 4 and saw this movie for the first time. I love the cynical, sinister, and there's all sorts of jokes about LA that, I mean, I can appreciate now. Like LA's public transportation is terrible.
Yeah,
and I don't know if this is based on a true story that like this happened at one point. It was good, and then the freeway.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole plot is they want to build a freeway, right? And he's like, why would anyone want a freeway when you could just take the public train? And it's like
for a nickel, right? Yeah. Right. And it's like he says, like, I don't need to drive because I can just take public transportation. And of course, the joke is that public transportation is really awful in LA. And I read a little bit that there's potential like exploitation, racism metaphor with the cartoons. Like they'll work for peanuts, and he literally throws peanuts to Dumbo, and cartoons being worked to death and having no right. That's not really on the forefront. That's much more on the background. But there's so many things about it that are wonderful, and I loved Christopher Lloyd's performance as a kid. He was terrifying, less scary as an adult, but this is like lunatic level stuff. I mean, every scene Christopher Lloyd's in, I love. I don't know. You said your favorites are just when it's Bob Hoskins and Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, he did terrify me as a kid, especially the end part of the movie. And my daughter, she's 9. She got a little scared too. Like when his eyes start bugging out, he's got the cartoon eyes. Like that is next level insane. And then he starts melting into the ground. Like it is creepy as hell. But yes, for most of the movie, Christopher Lloyd is it cocaine? Like what is helping him act that way? Like that's Doc Brown. That's the same freaking guy. Like
no, but it's this crazy energy. It's it's fantastic. The scene where the shoe gets dipped, that was really upsetting as a kid.
Like we were talking before, there are parts in this movie that are just embedded in the deep recesses of my brain. And like that, where he dips the shoe in there with the sound of his glove and the color that it is when he pulls his hand out, like it's in my brain and in my memories. Like, but yeah, the way his body moves, the way his like teeth are, like everything about him is bonkers. Like there's no character like that in another movie.
And I didn't ever I mean, I knew that he was a judge, but I didn't really he's literally like a judge, like he presides over trials. Like that's crazy.
But for cartoons, he's the cartoon judge, yeah.
And then he just has all these weasels.
It's like Judge Dredd, kind of. He's the,
Apparently, nobody cares about these tunes. Like he gets to do whatever. He's like, I execute judgment against you, and it's bonkers level stuff. It's like so perfect for this movie. It's just utterly insanity. I don't know. I just think Christopher Lloyd's great. I don't know. I mean, he's zany in Back to the Future, but in a very different way. I mean, I still know it's Christopher Lloyd, but boy, those are very different performances, and they both work. I was just like, oh yeah, this is great. This absolutely holds up. His absolute insanity. And just technically, this movie looks great. I don't know. I feel like it holds up technically super well. Just like you're blending the cartoons and the real life, I don't know, as well as you could possibly do it in 1988 and even now. I mean, it looks as good as Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, I think, in terms of like plausibility and making it work. And some of the lighting is just like really immaculate. There's a swinging light sequence when they're in the back room of the bar, and the light follows them. It follows the cartoon. It goes off and on Roger Rabbit's face. I'm like, that had to be a nightmare to like animate. I just can't even fathom.
The scene where he's pretending to wash his clothes or his dishes, and Roger's in the sink and he's pulling them up and the water's splashing, and then the weasels come over and splash the water. Like how they did that whole scene. Hoskins is the only one there. Obviously there's just cartoons, and they didn't have like green suits where there's like literally nothing there. It's all done with overlay cartooning because they didn't have computers, right? This is in the 80s. There was literally no computers. It's all done just with splicing the animation over it. I mean, like I said, Brian Eggert's review talks about some of the more technical stuff, but yeah, I mean, how amazing that they pulled that off. Because there was other movies, and again, he references, what was the one wasn't Brad Pitt in one where there's like a cartoon character as well? It's this, maybe it's
like
because
Cool
of this.
Something. It's called Cool Something.
Yeah,
it's
Cool World is
there. It is. I've never seen it. I remember this one where I always saw it at like the movie store and was never. I was curious, but never curious enough to actually read it. Yeah. So I've never seen it.
Yeah, but this is probably the best example of that, of an animation, and it's like commenting on that, because like that's the whole backstory of the movie, is that like, what if Toons existed? And that was the part that my daughter was so confused. She's like, wait, there's like a whole world where these cartoons live? I'm like, yeah, that's, you're just supposed to assume that.
Right. It's trippy to me too. I'm like, still, nobody's like, where do they? I mean, like, I've got a lot of questions about how this works, but you just obviously have to just roll with it. Yes, there's a place that was created by the Acme guy. I mean, he owned it. Did he buy it, or did he create it for them? Like you were
saying about the actors with working for peanuts, I took it more of like, are they sort of commenting on animators and how like they're basically not paid anything? They're basically, they keep them in their own little cages, and they have them do their art and basically have no rights and get paid next to nothing. And so I found that interesting. And that could be. Damon talked about on our LA Confidential episode how like they're the animators were overworked or whatever. They're underpaid, and they inserted things in some scenes that were inappropriate because of that. I didn't catch any of that.
Oh, I looked it up on Snopes. I didn't catch it either, but Snopes is basically verifying some of it, and some of it's just like a judgment call, basically. Because there's a scene where right after baby Herman comes off after they've done a take, and he looks up a woman's skirt, and he apparently has got a middle finger, and then you see him later have something drool or some sort of substance running off the side of his mouth. That's apparently, Snopes said it was verified, and there's another scene, and it's something you wouldn't catch real time. I didn't catch it in real time, but when the taxi is leaving Toon Town, and then its tires go over the dip and it crashes, Jessica Rabbit flies out of the car.
Oh, yep.
And at one point, like, her legs get splayed open, and there's like darkness in her nether regions, so the suggestion is that was drawn to have no underwear on. I don't know. They said it just could be a coloration issue. It's tough to discern, and it's not explicit in the way that you're probably thinking. It's just that the color looks different, so it could be
okay,
something more salacious.
Yeah,
but it's something you like. They were able to find this on the Laserdisc because once you had Laserdisc, you could go literally frame by frame. So it's like literally a frame is what the issue is, and animators can do this and have done this apparently. Documented elsewhere where you can just insert 1 second. I mean, this happens in Fight Club if you've seen Fight Club. Brad Pitt does it in an actual movie for like 1/24th of a second or whatever. You're 1/24th of a second. So I don't know. I mean, those were the two things that I saw in Snopes that were. But so
the Jessica Rabbit thing brings up sort of my major issue with this movie. Like, okay, so cartoons exist, and you brought up a lot of questions, but so he's attracted to the cartoon. Like, I'm so confused by that. What? I mean,
Bob Hoskins shouldn't be attracted to cartoons because they're cartoons.
Yeah, right.
I guess she has a body. She really exists. It's not like a drawn cartoon. He accidentally bumps into her boobs once, and they very overtly jiggle in a really absurd way. When I'm like, oh yeah, this is
the Acme guy is there. Like, oh, I have to see Jessica perform because she's so beautiful.
And then they play patty cake, which is genuinely upsetting to Roger Rabbit. It's not like just slapping hands. It's a very serious intimacy breach.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
My daughter was confused. What did they mean by patty cake?
I mean, Eric, in our reality, people are attracted to cartoons. I mean,
I guess there's anime, that sex anime and stuff. I was always confused by that.
It exists. Yes, it exists. I mean,
so that's just his thing. Is he's into cartoons.
Well, he's into a cartoon, not all cartoons. It didn't look like she was.
Well, one that looked like Betty, and he's kind of flirting with Betty Boop a little bit, I guess.
Sure, okay. The ones that look vaguely like human are the ones whatever. She's made to be like a cartoonishly.
Are you confessing your? Do you have a
crush on April O'Neil in the Ninja Turtles? I was like, oh, she looks awesome. Sure. Okay. It wasn't really sexual at that time, Eric, but sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you've never seen a cartoon and thought, okay, you just think she's supposed to be attractive, but it's a cartoon, so I have no actual, it's separate. Your brain's just like nothing. It's just motion on a page.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. I don't know.
Okay.
Is that weird? Am I weird?
I just think there are literally, like you already suggested, loads of stuff you can find on the internet of people creating animated versions of people they find attractive.
If there's name a thing, there's some dude that's into it. If cartoons
were walking around and there was an actual Toon Town, there wouldn't be perverts lined up to go to Toon Town.
But they're perverts, right? They're weird ass perverts. Is Eddie Valiant some cartoon pervert?
She's meant to be. She's a sexily drawn cartoon. She's cartoon. She has an absurd hourglass figure, right? It's all cartoonish, right? It's exaggerated. Have you ever seen like an X-Men comic? You seen the way the women characters are drawn in those?
Yeah.
You don't think they're drawn to like excite nerds? Say, look at these women, they have powers, and their cleavage is always out of control, ludicrous. They're not made to look real in a way that exploits, men's lust to sell. Anyway, she's designed to be very sexually attractive, and she's walking around. I don't know.
Okay.
I can accept in the reality of movies that he's like, oh, here's a particularly very sexy cartoon who oozes sexuality, and lots of people seem to find attractive. But maybe he's just got a weird thing. Whatever. But like, this doesn't bother me like it bothers you.
Computer animated characters, are you meant to be attracted to? Like, is there people out there that think like Thanos is hot or something like that? Like, or She-Hulk or whatever? Like, I'm confused.
There are absolutely people that will think She-Hulk is attractive. I'm sure She-Hulk has her admirers.
I mean, she looks more like a human than Jessica Rabbit does.
I haven't seen that show, but the trailers, she doesn't look that real. I'm not like convinced she's existing, walking around. Really.
We have gone too deep on that. It was just always something that I didn't understand. Like, why is he attracted to this cartoon?
Couldn't understand why he's attracted to this cartoon with big fake boobs and a big fake butt.
But it's a cartoon. It's not even
for him. It's one that exists in real life.
I get why I can suspend disbelief that Roger is attracted to her, but like
you can't assume that he would be again an overtly over-sexualized,
when he has like
sexualized cartoon,
a real like beautiful woman that likes him, and is just mad that he's not nice to her. I guess I was always confused. Like why is he going for Jessica Rabbit when he has this woman who's like a beautiful woman?
Well, we have the trope, the femme fatale character from film noir, so that's why it's happening in a meta sense. But it's so bizarre to me that you're like shocked that this overtly sexualized cartoon would be sexually attractive. They could have sex, Eric. Like, presumably she has all the parts. They could interact.
Well, the animators drew it. It's not even wearing underwear, so he could have just went right for it.
I don't know which real life women you find attractive, but if they became cartoonized and walked around, you'd just like cease finding them attractive. Whoever that is, whoever your celebrity crush is, Eric, if they became a cartoon or a CGI version.
But if they looked like
they walked around,
you literally look like So you want me to just draw you a picture of boobs, and is that something you're attracted to? Like just
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the way people's brains are, and you're just not able to accept it in the context of this movie when people interact with cartoons.
I have never been like attracted to a picture, I guess. Like.
This isn't a picture, though.
There's a bunch of pictures put together.
She's a conscious entity. First of all, we don't even know where cartoons come from, the tunes in this reality. The filmmakers made them, which is why we're watching it. But
what I'm seeing is drawings of a woman. But
you're talking about not being able to accept that Bob Haskins, the character, Eddie Valiant, is attracted to a cartoon who in his reality is walking around, he can talk to, who has her own thoughts and feelings. And is not just fictional. And if you're saying people in reality being attracted to cartoons or whatever is weird and you don't get it, that's fine. That's judgy, but that's fine.
It's like Tarantino's thing for feet. I just don't get it. It's not
most
my
people's
thing.
Sexual proclivities, they're all absurd. If you don't have it, it's absurd to you. That's just the way they work.
So that's what all I'm saying.
They're idiosyncratic, but
if you're listening to this,
you said you couldn't suspend disbelief.
Let me clarify.
But you said you couldn't accept. Why is this character attracted to this cartoon? Well,
maybe that was just around. As a kid I didn't get, and I still don't totally get it. So let me just clarify. If you're listening to this,
she's supposed to be a sexy cartoon.
If
that's
you're listening to this and your thing is cartoons, they get you off. Like go all power to you, man. I'm sorry, I don't mean to hate on your thing. All right,
Eric, what's your fetish so we can judge it and see how normal and reasonable it is? What's the weirdest thing you can say and not feel too weird and say? Think about it. Again, it's a sexy cartoon that exists
sexy
in his reality
zombies.
that he can
That's
walk
my
around.
Thing.
Okay. Dude, I don't get it. Like what? Like they want to eat your brains, but you want them to eat other.
That really gets me going.
Okay, fair enough. All right. You heard it here, folks.
Oh wow! I didn't expect this to be our conversation.
Well, it's a sexy cartoon that actually exists in his reality. That they could get it on. That's an option for them. That's on the table. And it's fine. Like,
So
if you saw her walking around, you'd be like, "Go away! You're a cartoon. No part of you is enticing to me. I don't care. You're just to me. You're just a walking drawing."
Well,
to me.
it brings up another question I had. So when he goes into Toon Town, when I was a kid, that was like my favorite part. Like, he gets the gun and he's like going into Toon Town, and you're like, whoa! Now there's this guy in a cartoon world. Holy crap! Blowing my mind. But like, he climbs the building, he falls and hits the ground. Like, does that because his brother died by a cartoon, but his brother presumably was killed by a real life piano, right? A piano dropped on his head. It wasn't, but he died in Toon Town, right?
I don't remember him dying in Toon Town.
Yeah, that's why Valiant didn't want to go back there.
Because we see somebody else. I know that's what I'm asking. Dies with a real piano.
Piano. But a tune killed him, but with a real object.
I assumed it was a tune that killed him with a real object. So if you're saying that actually the line is that his brother was killed in Toon Town with a cartoon piano,
I thought that's why he didn't want to go back there, is because that's where his brother was killed. That's why he was so nervous and scared to go back to Toon Town. I just thought he hated all tunes, and that was the most tune-centric spot to go. So I thought he just hated all tunes. But you could be right. But that doesn't make any sense, because we see Eddie Valiant like get deflated and bonked around in a way like, oh, it's a cartoon rules, so he's fine ultimately. All the stuff happening to him, unless what if you took a real piano and dropped it into Toon Town? Yeah,
I don't know. Like, what if you took a real gun and I don't know what the rules are. I don't know, because he takes the cartoon.
The cartoon kills Acme with a real gun, right? I mean, it's Doom. He's a cartoon, and he kills him with a real gun, not a toon gun.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either. Yeah, I mean, he kills Acme, he kills the other guy too, the head of the animation studio. The rules are pretty fuzzy. Again, not stuff I had questions with as a kid, but yeah, the logic's wonky, and you just kind of go with the movie.
Well, and then again, the weasels, right? We know that the dip kills tunes, but the weasels die from laughing.
It seems like the weasels have a particular proclivity to laugh and laugh themselves to death. Is it a pop goes the weasels thing? I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why that works that way, but they establish that them laughing too much is a problem. And then he says, "You're going to laugh yourself to death." And then that's where we get the great routine. He dives into his clown training and takes a bunch of hits. But he gets hit with a bunch of stuff and is fine in the real world.
Right.
He gets like bowling balls that hit him in the head in the real world.
I think they're tune balls. I mean, they look like, but he gets them out of the tune boxes, the Acme boxes. So maybe they're, but he falls really. I mean, he bounces up off the pogo stick and then falls down
Yeah, and hits his head on an actual light.
Yeah,
it's not a cartoon light. He like bounces
shocks
up.
himself. Yeah.
Yes. That doesn't. Okay. Oh man, we found a big logic hole in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Shit movie.
Yeah, over. Overall, my overall feeling on this movie is like I just have a really hard time separating. Like, you seem to enjoy it like as an adult, where you can I can think about this differently now, and I can like it in both ways. I have a hard time separating how I thought of it as a kid. No, I don't like it
in the way I liked it as a kid. That's where there's tension. So that's where I don't like Roger Rabbit. He annoys me, and I want him to go away. Almost every time he's on the screen, I'm just like, oh man, you really annoy me. So no, it's different. It's like it's switched. I don't still like it as a kid in that way. Yeah. The parts I liked most as a kid are the parts that really annoy me now, and I just like, if I had to rewatch again, I'd be like, they'd be unpleasant having to think about Roger Rabbit.
Well, like the opening scene, I didn't enjoy that cartoon.
It was fine. I remembered it being set up, and I was like, it's a good homage to like Looney Tunes. Like, I don't know, like
that's Tom and Jerry or whatever. Yeah.
So that's fine. It wasn't my favorite part even as a kid. I mean, it was just like, oh, here's impressive. We're gonna do a little cartoon.
Was Roger? And I guess I don't really remember. Was Roger Rabbit in Looney Tunes, or was he created for this movie? Do you know that?
So there's a book, Who Censured Roger Rabbit? That this is
from the 80s, yeah.
So yeah, it came out before that. So no, he didn't exist before the book, and I'm sure they probably took a bunch of liberties. I haven't read the book, I don't know anything about it, but I'm sure they took a bunch of liberties. But I don't think he existed before that. He's clearly like a Bugs Bunny ripoff. That's I think the whole point is like he wanted to do Bugs Bunny, but the guy writing the book couldn't do Bugs Bunny without getting sued. So let me create a different cartoon rabbit, and I can do whatever I want with him.
And so then they sold it to Disney, and Disney's like, okay, you can use you can use Bugs Bunny, you can use Mickey
Mouse.
A
big battle because there was different studios. There's Disney, and then like Warner Brothers had like Bugs Bunny. They're different ones, so they had to be on screen the same amount of time. So like you see Mickey and Bugs falling from when he falls from the big building in Toon Town. They have to have the exact same amount of screen time. Like lawyers had to like literally calculate to make sure nobody had more screen time. Because the rule was like Bugs has to be on screen as much as Mickey Mouse if you're going to use Bugs Bunny. Anyway, just a random bit of trivia. Yeah, I mean it's filled to the brim with cartoon characters. It's like, man, yeah, it was I'm sure a copyright nightmare to get everybody on board.
And royalties for this is, I suppose Disney owns it all now. Well, they don't own all the Warner Brothers shit.
I have no idea who owns what. It's I mean there's like 4 companies. So it's not that many, or 3, or whatever it is.
Well, they must have figured it out because it's on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, well, Disney owns it, so I think they got the rights to have the movie forever. So I mean, when they secured the rights, I don't think it was temporary. Like we get to show this movie however we want for as long as we want. That's what I assume was negotiated in the 80s, but who knows? Maybe they had to reacquire the rights. I don't know. In the streaming match. But no, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't have a whole lot else to say except, it creeps get your kicks off of cartoon porn or something. I don't know. I don't get it. You should have
the same sexual proclivities that Eric does. Those are the only normal ones. Anybody that's different, you're a weirdo and you should feel bad. So there you go. No, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about either, other than I like it for totally different reasons as an adult, and the reasons I liked as a kid, like, it's the opposite. It's like, man, I hate it. It'd be like, I don't know, like liking Jar Jar Binks when you watched episode 1 as a kid, and then you're older and you're like, oh my god, this character is super annoying.
Roger's really not as bad as Jar Jar Binks.
No, but he's to me in the same ballpark. I just, his voice alone aggravates me. He's just yelling all the time, and he's hard to understand with whatever the accent is that he has. And he's like,
he's funny sometimes. Like, I went to the grocery store. They didn't know who you were. I went to the shoe store, but the liquor store guy, he knew where you lived. Like, he's funny sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's a great line. It's a really good line.
The handcuff bit was funny. Like, you mean to tell me you could have taken that out whenever you wanted, only when it was funny? Like, okay, he's got some good bits in there. But yes,
I mean a couple. But for the most part, he doesn't help the plot. He's always annoying and getting in the way, and that's kind of the joke. And just like, man, I don't enjoy spending any time with this character. That's why I identify like Bob Hoskins. Like, oh, I could be with this annoying rabbit this whole time, who's loud and obnoxious and breaking things and won't shut up ever.
Am I your Roger Rabbit? Is that?
No, Eric, your voice is way less annoying than Roger Rabbit's. You are.
Is that pretty good?
That was subdued quite a bit from how he'd do it about 50 decibels higher.
Well,
and
yeah, I didn't want to spit all over the place. See, whoever did the voice on that must have just been spitting everywhere.
Yeah, a lot. But anyway, let's hear your rating, Eric. Let's get into the rating.
Like I said, I have a hard time separating what I thought of this as a kid and what I think of it now. I tried to just, if this was the first time I saw it, what do I think? I appreciated a lot of the animation stuff, the challenge in doing that, the noir story, like the screenwriting of it, I think is really pretty impressive and pretty well done. I did think it was like, okay, that's kind of okay. Toons exist. What is the world like if cartoons are real? And I found that kind of interesting. 3.5 is what I would give it, because I really would never want to watch it again. I've seen it a million times, and I liked it enough as a kid. I think I probably watched it too much. So yeah, 3.5. That's where I would stand.
I'm exactly the same. 3.5. It's a movie I appreciate more than I enjoy, just because I don't like spending time with Roger Rabbit. It is just aggravating to me. If he wasn't so annoying or could get something else other than he's just loud and zany all the time, I'd like it a bit more. I get that that's the joke and that's the point, is that he's zany and annoying, and Bob Hoskins doesn't want to laugh, and he's got his own trauma. The trauma interests me. The drinking, him not liking the tunes is interesting. Roger Rabbit is just aggravating the whole time. I love Christopher Lloyd. I love everything but Roger Rabbit pretty much.
And you got a super sexy lady. Is that a positive for you or no?
I don't care. I can just accept it. I don't have a problem understanding why his character would find her. I can say, okay, he finds this cartoonishly big boob Toon character attractive. Okay, I can accept that. But you got hung up on that. Like, I don't get it. I can't understand. Why would he pop? This is just what? It's like being attracted to ink. I don't get it. I mean, that's fine. But at 3.5, I mean, it's technically incredible. It looks amazing. I appreciate all the performances, again, except Roger Rabbit's. So, I don't know. I might watch it someday with my kids. We'll see. There's a lot of crazy stuff in it. It would be confusing if you're actually trying to follow the plot as a kid. Like,
yeah, I think my one daughter, she watched it with me. The other one wouldn't refuse to. I told her what it was about, and she's like, nope. But she did say when one daughter was telling the other one about it, she said they said sex in it. I was like, oh shit. They did at some point say that. I probably shouldn't have exposed her to that. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. Do you think that's the first time she's ever heard the word?
No, I'm sure it's not. But maybe she's gonna grow up thinking men are attracted to cartoons, and I just ruined my daughter for the rest of her life.
Okay. So. I mean, some dudes are. I mean, I don't know. There's a percentage of the male population that is attracted to cartoons. And Eric disapproves of all of them.
Yeah, you're a creep. Okay, so 5 Degrees of Field of Dreams, Ben?
Yeah, let's get to it. So I wanted to go with Christopher Lloyd. Again, one of those guys, there's just a few performers that kind of, they hit roles that just really resonated with me at the right time as a kid. Christopher Lloyd is one.
So I went on a Zemeckis run because you picked this movie. I watched Back to the Future 1 with both my kids. They liked it. They really liked the first one. Started the second one.
Did you have to explain why he was in the back seat with his mom as a teenager?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
There's things in that too that I think made him a little uncomfortable. But we started watching Back to the Future 2. What a drop off. That movie is not good. I didn't think so. I thought it was really bad. But Christopher Lloyd is he's in Back to the Future 2 a lot more. Like, it's basically him and Marty the whole movie. So I think he's better in, like, he's kind of wild and crazy in that movie. So went on a little Zemeckis, Christopher Lloyd run here.
Oh, good. I mean, I love Back to the Future. The first one is far and away the best. It's
perfect. That's a perfect movie. Back to the Future 1's a perfect movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has any flaws, and it's one where I kind of like get a little bit more out of it each time. No, it's incredible. I like Back to the Future Part 2 more than you. It's definitely not anywhere near as good. I used to love the zany future stuff. That's probably my least favorite part of it now. But I like the craziness of they're going back and they have to avoid themselves because it'll really go crazy with the timeline.
Maybe it's because of Rick and Morty where I'm like, wow, they've kind of ruined that for me. But
maybe. But I mean, I think the third one's the word. I mean, it just drops.
Marty McFly and drag should not have ever happened. But anyways.
Oh yeah, well that's a weird choice. That's a very awkward choice, and they screwed over Crispin Glover as well. And
yeah,
he won a lawsuit. So no, I mean there's plenty of reasons to be mad about.
Wait, there was a lawsuit with Crispin Glover?
He only did the first one, and they used his likeness without like paying him. He refused to do this.
When he's upside down, that's not him.
That's not him. Nope, it's like a stand-in, and made to look like him, and they used effects. He's not in any of the other ones. So he had a big lawsuit, like you don't get to use my likeness without my permission.
Interesting.
I don't know how much money he won. Maybe it was a lot. Of course, all that means is that movie studios, they just get your in the contract they get permission.
So they should just use animated characters like Roger Rabbit.
They could have, yeah, sure, if they wanted to, they could have. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big Christopher Lloyd fan. I went with Dennis the Menace. Did you ever watch Dennis the Menace?
I don't think so. I remember it, but
with like Walter Matthau's the grumpy old neighbor,
yeah.
and he's like the best part. He's great. But then the villain, Christopher Lloyd plays this like escaped fugitive, is gonna use Dennis the Menace as a hostage. But of course, Dennis is a menace, and he's a menace to Christopher Lloyd's character, who's eventually like
That's
arrested.
some heavy stuff for Dennis the Menace. Jeez.
It's cartoonish. It's got a real Home Alone vibe, especially the ending part with the goofiness. It's not really ever as threatening as I made it sound. You don't ever really feel like he's in danger, and he's oblivious to it, and he just keeps incidentally fucking with him. But anyway, Walter Matthau's great. He's in a movie called Charade from 1965, a spy sort of thriller. Grant and Audrey Hepburn, and it's a really good movie. A lot of twists and turns. Really like that movie. And Audrey Hepburn is in a movie called The Unforgiven with Burt Lancaster, a western from I think 1960, directed by John Huston. Apparently John Huston's least favorite movie that he's made. Just had a lot of frustrations working on it. But then Burt Lancaster is in Field of Dreams. So to you.
More attractive, Audrey Hepburn or Jessica Rabbit? Where do you?
I'm sorry. Like you might as well say a rock. I mean, it's just the same. Like I don't see the difference. I say an atom or an actual human woman. I was like,
was
what?
Kim Basinger's character in LA Confidential based on Jessica Rabbit? Do you think?
No, I think Jessica Rabbit's probably based off of numerous femme fatale characters from the
I'm
40s
just giving you
50s.
shit. All right, so I went with his name's Charles Fleischer. He does the voice of your favorite character, Roger Rabbit.
Sure.
In Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
What else is he in?
He was in a movie called Zodiac. I believe he was one of the suspects they honed in on. He was like the creepy, not John Carroll Lynch, who I'm picking from that movie. He's the guy that you're supposed to believe is the Zodiac killer. But Charles Fleischer plays the guy that I think for most of the movie they hone in on him as the killer.
Okay.
John Carroll Lynch is in Fargo. He plays the husband. I'll make you some eggs.
Oh yeah, gotcha. I know who you're talking about.
Margie, I'll make you some eggs. That's him. Steve Buscemi's
some Arby's.
Yep, Steve Buscemi's in Fargo. He's in a movie called Youth in Revolt with what's the Scott Pilgrim guy? He's in that movie. I haven't seen it, but Ray Liotta's in that, and Ray Liotta's in Field of Dreams.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I've never seen Youth in Revolt either. All right. Well, what are we watching next week?
All right. So next week, I'll give you 5 clues, and feel free to guess along with me, with Ben. And here we go.
Guess along with me.
Clue number 1. This movie takes place in the year 2154.
It takes place in. Is it going to be released in 2154?
Nope. It states in the movie that the movie takes place in the year 2154, which is my least favorite movie trope, especially when they pick a year.
I gotta pause because you're totally fine with taking events that actually took place and then totally making up different ways that it happened. You're totally fine with Quentin Tarantino doing that
yes.
at least 3 separate times. You're totally cool with that. But somebody saying, I think this is what's going to happen, but then those days come and go, and that didn't actually happen, that bothers me.
Well, I will say this, I'll give this movie credit because they picked a year that's really, really far out. Like 2154 is...
Yeah, we'll be dead. We're not going to make it to 2154.
More than 100 years from now. Like, that's fine. If you're going to pick this is a science fiction movie, obviously.
Sure. It's going to... But the people that come to 2154 and realize that's not what happened.
But, like, Demolition Man comes out in 92, and they're like, this is the year 2010. It's like, it's not going to be that in 10 years. Back to the Future. Well, back to that. They had to do this certain timeline because it's Marty's kid, so you have to, it can only be a certain amount of time. But, the way they made the future, there's no way there still isn't hover bikes, or hoverboards. Don't put science fiction things on a certain...
Once upon a time in Hollywood, it's 1969, and oh my god, Sharon Tate didn't die. That's
Blade
not what
Runner.
Happened.
Why even give me the year that Blade Runner? You don't need to tell. I know it's science fiction. It's fine.
It's set in the 1940s, and Hitler was killed in a theater. That's not what happened. That's ridiculous.
If Hitler had a hover bike or a hoverboard, that'd be weird. Why?
Now, if Quentin Tarantino had said this takes place in an alternate history that isn't real, this is science fiction, this is just a different version of events, I could accept that. But he doesn't say that. He says that it's just reality, and we go into it, and then he just totally changes what absolutely
Either way,
it's
we
totally
don't need to have
fictionalized.
It's one of my. If I see a movie where it starts out and it says in the year and they pick a year for no reason. Like, you don't have to. Star Wars. I'll give your favorite franchise some credit. Galaxy far away, long, long time ago. Perfectly fine with me. I accept that. You didn't tell me a year. I don't need to know a year. You don't. It doesn't matter.
I'm never going to make an actual movie. If I were, I would love to say this movie is set right now, and this is actually what's happening. This is meant to absolutely convey the reality. Or 3 days from now, this is everything that's happening, and just make it zany, totally ridiculous technology, just to aggravate you.
It would very much aggravate me.
Because you just, the brain's ability to not accept abstraction sometimes is fascinating to me. Okay. Anyway, 2154 is when this movie is set. All right, that's clue number 1. What's clue number 2?
Clue number 2 is this movie had the 40th largest box office opening weekend in North America of all.
Okay. Oh, I know exactly what that is. All right, I'm ready for clue number 3.
It premiered December 2009.
December 2009. Okay, are we doing Avatar?
We're doing Avatar, baby.
Oh my God. Okay.
Clue number 4 was it involves twins, and clue number 5 is Sam Worthington stars as Jake Sully. Okay. So, I am we're taking the family. We're going to see it in 3D. They're re-releasing Avatar because Avatar 2 is coming out. Or supposedly, I guess we don't know for sure. It's got a release date. I
thought it was supposed to come out in December, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, they've set a release date, but I think there's been some talk that it may get bumped, but who knows?
She's only had 13 years to work on it.
So we're seeing Avatar, the highest grossing movie of all time. That's why the 40th. That's kind of interesting. It didn't open at like this giant It kind of every week it just made about $20 million, $30 million every week.
Yeah, it was in the theater a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all throughout the summer, or not summer, but the spring, like winter into the spring.
I mean, now it's like, Endgame comes out, it's the biggest opening weekend ever, and it just kind of like trickles down after that, where Avatar was just steady for months. So.
It's the kind of movie that just can take your family to, and like, all right, we need to spend time over the holidays. Let's go to the theater and watch a movie and not actually talk to each other. All right. Okay. Avatar. I haven't seen it since 2000. Well, no, probably early 2010. It's probably like January. I actually saw it twice in the theater.
So did I. And I'm seeing it again in 3D.
Okay. Be curious what your kids think after they've seen Back to the Future and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. One of your daughters. All right.
Well,
Avatar it is.
Are you attracted to the Na'vi, the computer animated?
No, I'm not. But
giant Avatar
I'm not
people?
I'm not stuck. Like, why is Jake Sullivan or Sully or whatever his name is? Why is he attracted to her? She's not a human. I don't get it. I can't. Oh, what? His brain. What? Oh, like I don't know. There are furries that exist in reality. He's attracted to her. It's fine. But I mean, are we gonna have to have this conversation again? Or are we like, I can't accept these attract. She's a different
in
species.
the movie. They're not cartoons. They're like supposed to be aliens, and I can suspend disbelief for that.
So a very goofy looking alien would be fine. Like if you're green,
it's a cartoon alien,
and you have different body parts. That's fine. If you're an alien that just looks like a cartoon, that's fine. But not if you're an actual cartoon.
Is that like an animal like? Different species? Is that?
Are you trying to say that's bestiality? Is that what you're trying to say?
Is it? I
would say it's probably not because they're sentient beings and they're able to consent. But
that's different.
That's one view, I would say. Animals
so like
Groot
aren't is okay because Groot's like a sentient being, even though he's a tree.
No,
Groot? I'm not.
Are you just wondering? Are you trying to get permission to pursue your proclivities?
I'm a little Groot curious, I guess.
Yeah, okay, Groot. You see, there you go. I don't know. He's solid wood, baby. I don't know. Again, he can consent, right? If he's old enough. I don't know. Can
Groot consent?
Well, is it? Yeah, you have to wait till Groot gets old enough, or else it becomes like pedophilia.
This is the best conversation we've ever had on this podcast.
I'm gonna bring it up next time we talk about. I hope so. This is solid gold. I hope we talk about this because he's attracted to a different species, and that's okay. You can understand that. All right.
Well, but in the end, not to spoil Avatar, doesn't he connect with her with his little thing, his little head thing when he's a human, right? I don't know.
No, he He
Up
can't
next,
connect until-
Avatar.
He has to be okay. Whatever. We'll talk about it next week. Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Shouts to all our fans in India. Keep listening. Thank you.